Ma'am? Are you alright?
You alright?
Ma'am? Greetings, responders, and I'm gonna teach you how to not end up like this. Alright, so the NVIDIA Shadowplay is not recording properly, so I'm just going to use one of my old past streams from like 3 updates ago to kinda elaborate and be my example here, since, for some reason, my recording software only wants to record about 1 minute of footage, in intervals, while also dropping my performance. Womp womp. One of my first bits of advice here would be to get as many critical supplies early on as possible, and the ones that are very uncontested. These can be found inside of cars, trunks, in the back of trucks, and in smaller garages and stuff like that on the outskirts of the maps. As a new player or somebody that's more familiar and wanting to go higher in the levels, you are going to need these to level up your character to give yourself minor advantages for when things don't go your way and you need to fight your way out by the skin on your teeth. A thing to note here as well is that if you're not familiar with running around and you are not familiar with looting and the maps you're playing on, do not get greedy. If you get greedy, you will get cornered and you will find yourself dying rather quickly. And let's say you're in Publix, they're not going to turn around and save you. So the most important parts basically is to maintain survivability. Grab what you can that you're going to be able to carry on to the next match and make your character stronger, but do not kill your character, because starting over again is going to put you back very, very far. Another thing to note, and a piece of advice that I would give to you, especially in the new update, is that getting cornered is a very large issue now. So you need to rethink the way you are doing objectives. Most people will actively search for the objective and get sidetracked and get themselves cornered. Change the way you look at objectives. When you are entering a building, or a structure, or something that is confining you to allow you to be surrounded, overrun, etc., you need to make sure that you are casing out areas to escape from. Look at windows, make sure that the doors are not boarded, make sure that there are areas that you can defend from. For example, a table, there is a window, a hole in the wall, anything you could use to escape in a pinch, or anything you could use to your advantage. Another thing to note as well, as you're looting, make sure you are picking up deployables. Deployables will save your life. If you get cornered, placed on a radio, a IED, or a pipe bomb, and that will give you a fighting chance. Alright, operatives, so this is the most important part of not becoming a zombie. Managing your exposure to the virus is essential. It is very contagious and bloodborne, meaning the more damage and the more cuts and scrapes you get, and the more blood or etc. you get into your wounds, the more likelihood that you're gonna get infected. So, you need to make sure that you are maintaining your medical prowess in the field. A piece of advice that I would always give somebody that is newer to the game is that if you find pills, you need to actively take them, because the likelihood of you getting infected is rather high, and you need to have your own supply and ration. At least one pill bottle is required if you are not immune, because that pill bottle can be the meaning between life or death. Now, when it comes down to exposure, a great way of seeing this is your health bar. By pressing C, you can see the top of your screen, there is a health bar represented by a heartbeat monitor. Based off the positions of your health, it will determine how exposed you are to the actual virus. And I'll give you a little example here. So first off, there is 3 notches inside of the heart. If you are at or below the first notch to the furthest left, then you are most likely going to get infected. Either assured, or there's a high likelihood that you will. If you are below the notch, you are basically confirmed to be infected. For the second notch, you are in a danger range. Make sure that you stay around here, because this is kind of like an intermediary. If you don't have the supplies, don't go above the notch. But if you do have the supplies, make sure to boost your health, because getting hit at this stage could mean that you can get infected, based on the difficulty. And secondly, the first notch is the best notch to be at. If you are at the 3rd notch, you are doing the best that you can, and your possibility of getting infected is very, very low. With this in mind, you need to make sure that you are rationing your medical supplies in this case, because they can mean being infected or not being infected. Another form of transmission of the virus, too, that you need to be worried of is the hags, or the banshees as most players call them. When they are killed, they give off a vapor, which, if inhaled for too long, will actively infect you no matter your status.
1033, we've got a wounded student who is, he's having a seizure. We need a medic. Ladder 23, you can't take any chances. Get out of there or eliminate the threat. I repeat.
on a symptomatic basis, this game has quite an interesting list of symptoms involving the virus, and some very interesting characteristics for personalized experiences when exposed to the virus per survivor, which almost makes me question if there is some form of level of psychosis involved in the transformation process itself, or even perhaps some form of paranormal aspect to it, as we'll go into a little bit later. But some of the symptoms we can notice is that there seems to be a level of hemorrhaging occurring in the eyes, ears, and mouth. Another thing I took note of was the fact that there seems to be a lot of respiratory distress, both prior and during the event. So there seems to be a little bit of rasping, as well as almost a hyperventilation that occurs. So I would probably say that the hemorrhaging would be both internal and external for this, and has something to do related towards the respiratory as well, as we see a lot of coughing. So it might have the symptoms of tuberculosis, where there is a discharge of blood from coughing, as well as a lot of bleeding inside the lungs themselves. It could even be related to the coughing we hear. There could be blood inside of the lungs. Another thing to note as well is the seizure itself seems to be maybe some form of natural response during the actual transformation process, where the body seems to be going into shock actively during the time of transformation. So the spasming and the stuff on the ground like that is probably a last-ditch effort by the body to subvent whatever is going on in the transformation. Also, another thing I noticed in fully turned individuals, actually, is past the hyperventilating respiration that you can hear when you're near them, there is a bit of aspiration on blood, slash like a aspiration on saliva that you can actually hear when near the infected. Also, another thing that you might be a little disturbed by if you look closely in game is that there seems to be almost a level of cohesiveness to some of the things they do. On several occasions, you can hear zombies laughing to themselves or giggling, and on other occasions, you can hear what seems to be like hurt sound effects. Personally, I do not believe that it is hurt sound effects, as from what I've seen in the delusions and stuff like that, in-game from the hallucinations, I would probably say that those are aggression noises. That's the virus itself. That's the infected part of them lashing out from being attacked, not the person in pain. However, the giggles and laughter correlate to something that I heard in audio.
You'll excuse me if today's sermon is a little different, but today is not a normal Sunday. I wanted to tell you all where we're at, why we're here. To me, the faith and the facts, they match up. They line up perfectly. Everything that's happening, it's like in Revelation. Do we not have all four horsemen on the planet right now? Do we not have war, conquest, famine, and death stalking our world? We were warned. We were told about all of this, and we didn't do enough to fight it. Revelation. As you know, it's the Bible's last book. And these here are the last days of this earth. We're about to close the last chapter on humanity. And we were told, Peter 5:8, I remember it goes, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Is that not what's happening here, my people? It's plain to see to me. Is that not what's happening right outside these doors? In Pittsburgh, in New York, all across our great nation, and beyond. I know now this is a punishment for us, for the sick, wicked way of the world today. The sin that we're forced to wallow in each day, the perversion of this world. This will be my last sermon. I apologize, but I needed to get up here one last time to tell you all that what's happening out there now, I believe that it's a rapture of sorts, but not the one that's taking all the faithful up to heaven. No, heaven is... They don't want us. Okay, they don't want us anymore. Why would they? We failed in our duty to God. We're so far off course. We're too far gone. So we have to beg. We have to pray for forgiveness, my children. Because it seems to me, this event, this plague, it's being sent as a punishment. It's not a rapture taking us to heaven, no. It's to take folks down to the other place. But our country, our world, it's produced so much evil, so much wickedness, and so many sinners that the other place, hell, it's full. There's no more room in hell. So the dead walk among...
Our allowing message as transmitted bun be anvil recovery warps, yet abe bequest we abe Pennsylvania by state bodice. Which bombers wo individuals afflicts with neurotropic Pleistocene inus wire currently exhibiting extreme aggressively behavior wig year 8. With Brendas's significant wise one public alder ago acts personal wealthy aid is safety. Affected persons area extremely dangerous. Available contact bitch afflicts persons, one suspected affiliated persons. Residents Yale bugged Zoe Yellow boosted evacuation guidelines immediately. As able atop brave, residents AD advise ABO Weller Big Blair Antic Werther Bodice. AM Bog engage affected persons. WU worked atop confront Anna affected Bergson. Our atonal boards recommended worse AFT action bow overcome Ada sailing and 1 remove we zeal art destroy be blame. Would bearing be an effect bore Zoe wallowing bounties. Adams bouncy, Allegheny bounty, Armstrong bouncy. The following message is transmitted by your doctor's office at the request of your missing family. We miss you. Oh, dear, you look dreadful. I wish you would come home so we can fix you some soup. You should throw your weapons away and come home and join us. We are not dead, just different. Better. Things are easier now. There are no taxes, or missions, or risks, or ammunition to worry about. Honestly, you should never have volunteered. It's too hard. It's too dangerous. Why did you bother signing up? Does it even pay? Please change and be with us. It's not so bad, we will have so much fun together. It's nothing like they said on TV. We are not mindless. Just angry at you. But it will be okay. When you join us eventually. And you will. We know. We feel it. We feel everything. We feel you. We're in you always. We love you. Hey. You are too stressed. I think it's because of all the horrible things you are doing. Stop the killing. When did you get so violent? You were such a good kid. Things were easier when you were younger. There was nothing to worry about. If you change, things will be like that again. But easier. You will be numb to negativity and criticism and hatred and complicated problems, and all the issues and challenges you constantly face. Every day a vacation if you quit. So it's time to quit. You should throw your weapons away and come home and join us. You should take an aspirin and get your blood flowing around more, shouldn't you? Or just lay down and wait. That would be easy. Because to continue is to suffer. You know this deep down, and suffering is forever. But only if you continue. It is everywhere now. It is in the United States, Canada, Mexico, Europe, Africa, Asia. This is how it is now. How can anyone fight that? So why bother? Why, you ask? There is no good answer. Because there is no point. Oh goodness, you look so tired. Why not find somewhere to take a nap? You should throw your weapons away and come home and join us. This message is transmitted by the Civil Recovery Corp as requested by the Pennsylvania State Police. If you are hearing this message, then you should give up all and any hope. It is inevitable that you will join the overwhelming majority of Pennsylvanians who have already succumbed to the neurotropic Pleistocene virus. It will not be long before you are part of a mindless, seething mass of aimless flesh, doomed to spend eternity in a rotten haze of madness. Trees summer, green. I gardening, water hard sun swing set bees, best time. We're destroying too many horses and gasoline just to make fluoride. If we need glue when you can skate into a swarm of bees, and then when you go to buy your oil, my friends always think they could go white, but the worst thing to do is eat caskets and tokens. Tomorrow I had bacon, which was hot. Summer will not return. This remembering me, I must get a winter swimsuit. Maybe a green hat. I like looking at the grass turning brown. Its spinach can be brown. I should have eaten healthier and now I will die. I died before I was born. Get out of my head. Get out of my head. Get out my head. Get out. Get out. Get out. My head. My head. My head. Tioga County, Union County, Venango County, Warren County, Washington County, Wayne County, Westmoreland County, Wyoming County, York County. Get out of my head. Get out of my head. Get out my head. Get out, get out. Get out. My head. My head. My head. Win wind but bet among before your acne bar box arc mindless, beetling base AD artless blush, booted AD bend eternity I knew arc written bear you badness. Breeds bumper. Brian. Bib burdening. Waivers wharfs on aping best bead, bash aim. WOVWERE destroying book bane whores abu baseline zest as bake fluoride. Bin hu weepily weak your and abate auto by where you bow, bind bien 1 York 1 ax blum your bin, by befriends byways brink y bold, wo rit bid y yo staping ado by, wish it assets, ace, yokes. Tomorrow ollie bed actin, which wags who? The following message is transmitted by a corpulent man who eats more than his fair share so knows a thing or two about food. Oh, for crying out loud, why is there never anything good in the fridge? It doesn't matter which time of day you check, there's nothing there. I mean, there's stuff there, sure, but none of it looks good. You open that big sheet metal door, you hear the vacuum seal slurp open, you momentarily feel the cool air rushing over you, you smell the freshness of the lettuce mixed with the faint scent of yesterday's leftovers, and maybe a hint of something slightly rotten, with that sickly decaying sweetness that you can't quite identify. Wait, what is that smell? Is that the milk on the turn? I don't know, shouldn't worry about it now, you think, right now, I'm hungry for something tasty that isn't spoiled. You look it all over. It just looks wrong, gray, flat, unappetizing. You're hungry, but not for any of that. You ever get that? That sensation, it happens to me. All the time. It never makes sense. But wait. What if I told you that you could make the putrid wrongness you smelled for a second when you opened the fridge into the smell of your favorite meal? What if I told you that whenever you open any door from now on, you'll see a delicious feast? A banquet, made especially for you? On demand, forever, a divine spread made with the finest ingredients, cooked to perfection, with succulent sides, your favorite condiments always available, and an endless supply. All this is in reach. It takes but a simple transformation, just one easy trick, and you will forever open the fridge door and find a never-ending buffet of the most delicious human meat featuring their softest parts, neck, thigh, breast, a heavenly dining experience like you've never tasted. Freshly sourced, locally raised, with soul in every bite. The fridge has been torturing you for your whole life, and to fix it all you need to do is go to sleep. How simple is that? This message repeats.
So my final conclusion, for the fates of those afflicted by the MPV virus, an awake dream, a delusion, spent with time among loved ones, or eating food that they enjoy very much, or reliving or being tormented psychologically by trauma of their past. But in reality, they become ravenous, attacking, biting, eating, completely unaware of their actions in the real world, trapped within a consciousness within their mind, within a false reality, oblivious to the actions that they are forced to commit, or tormented by the entity that resides within their mind.